Hi there, and welcome back. I am Paige Elizabeth. This is Creating Consciousness. And today I have with me kind of a real life rock star. This woman is 69 years old and she looks better than ever. She's a fitness coach for women in perimenopause and menopause. Her name is Michele Smith, and her company is called Forever Fit with Michele. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Paige. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah, I found Michele on TikTok and I was looking at her and I'm like, wow, like I need to know what she's doing because she looks amazing.
So, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about like your history, how you found yourself in the position that you're in and what you do.
Yes, I started training in 1988 when there was no internet. There was nothing. The only thing that I was going by was pretty much magazines. So whatever the magazines were telling us to do, I would follow that as well as whatever nutrition they were telling, which was not much. But the reason why I entered that phase of my life is because I was modeling at the time and I wanted to continue my gig a little longer. So I figured, let me just look better than the other models. So I could maybe add another couple of years. It turned out that I added another 20 years. But I did go to become an interior designer in the process, in the midst of it, and I continued to do both. Ultimately, I changed my career to be a fitness coach to help women who are going the same things that I was going through because I noticed how I was changing my life and my body. So I wanted to do the same for women who are going through the process of perimenopause and menopause. And it has been very successful because um, the exercises that you do, first of all, everybody is doing a lot of cardio, especially women love to do a tons of
Yeah.
cardio and decreasing their calories, which doesn't lead you to anything positive. In fact, if you do that, it's going to burn on your muscles and you're going to end up skinny fat, with a lot of saggy skin because you're already losing muscle mass. So the main thing to do is change your nutrition and lift heavy weights with progressive overload. And your life will change. You become mentally stronger, physically stronger, your skin will change, everything will change. And it has been amazing. So that's how I changed it. So
Yeah.
I went back to school. I became a nutritionist and I learned about, I became certified for personal training, which I did for a short time. But then I moved on to online to offer my programs to women who want to change their lives and their bodies. So,
Absolutely. And I think it's like it's so critical. So for myself, I got into lifting after I retired from my yoga practice that I did for 22 years. Partially because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to, sculpt my body. So, I'd spent a lifetime, my body type catered to what I did. And then
yeah,
I would like my body to cater to what I want it to look like.
exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
Um, and also because, as you get older, things do start, gravity does kick in. And I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
ready for that. I don't want that. Like, let's do what we
I
need to
mean,
do.
some people are open to that to age naturally. And I don't think that's healthy to begin with. If you're not interested in how you look as you get older, but it's not healthy because you become frail and you end up with a lot of fractures as you get older. So you see a lot of older people on a wheelchair being pushed around by their helper because they have no strength, they're very unhealthy. And it's very difficult at that point to reverse that. But if you're active and you're able to work out, even if you don't work out really heavy, the point is to do progressive overload. Even if you start with 5 pounds, you could increase it from there and there. I mean, most of my clients start with nothing and they wind up pushing, like doing squats with 135 pounds, which they never did this before in their life. And their body and mind completely change. And I hope, especially women, get on board with this because it will change the trajectory of their lives. The quality of life will be so much better as a result.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, um, lifting, one of the things that I tapped into, because I'm writing my second book and it's called When Speak They Heal, A Guide to the Female Nervous System. And me and my ghostwriter, we came across this kind of this concept of how like when you you lift and lift heavy, it protects the nervous system because it's hard. And so
Mhm.
it trains you to deal with hard shit, right? And so it's like one of the other things that lifting does is it really creates a mechanism to buffer the stress of life, which tears down and tears away at the body and the mind with time. And so it
Absolutely.
really helps to create that resilience.
Mhm. Well, it helps to become mentally strong. That's one of the first things that I noticed because I used to suffer a lot from depression back in the days when I was younger. But you become so mentally stronger that you can pretty much you just your perspective changes. You lower your insulin resistance, and it just changes everything. Your blood work is different. Um, for people, I think, especially women, I think they don't want to do the work. They think they're going to get bulky, which is impossible to get bulky unless you actually want to get bulky. Because in order to do that, you have to eat a tremendous amount of food.
Right.
It's not so much how heavy you lift, because you could lift as heavy as possible. But if you don't align that with your nutrition, you're not going to get bulky. But a lot of women are afraid of that.
In the last like 2 years, I've put on about 5 pounds of muscle mass.
That's great.
And I was looking at a video that showed 5 pounds of muscle mass and 5 pounds of fat, and the muscle was so tiny. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And the fat is like,
But I was like, that's all I put on. Like in my brain, 5 pounds sounds like a lot.
I
But if
know.
you look at it, you're like, okay, I can see why. Like I don't see it as much as like my brain is trying to compute that that's so much. Because if it were fat, it would be,
A lot more.
more.
But when I started training, when I was a model back in the days, I remember telling a nutrition when I started with a nutritionist, I said I want to put on 15 pounds of muscle. He said, "Do you have any idea how much 15 pounds of muscle is? I don't think that's what you want." So it took me about 2 years to go from 110, that's how thin I was, to 130 with
Oh,
muscle and decreasing my body fat. It took me that long because I was fighting it the whole time. I had the old mental, the mindset of I'm gonna get bulky. I don't want to get fat. I don't want to get bulky. But finally I kind of relaxed into it and voila. And I continue to do that today.
so you've been lifting for how many years now?
37,
Wow.
37 years. I started out with step classes. That only lasted about a week or two because I said, I don't think that's what I want. And then I immediately moved into weight training. There was a bodybuilder back in the 80s. Her name is Rachel McLeish. Bodybuilders back then were my size, like how I am today, not the way they are, the bodybuilders today. So my dream was to look like her. And I keep telling that to a lot of trainers. They said, nah, that's not going to happen. They lose their period, blah, blah, blah. And I used to say, just watch, I will. So I did accomplish looking like that. And at some point, Rachel McLeish herself posted on my post on Facebook. I said, oh my God, you look so amazing. How old are you? And I told her, like, she was my inspiration to get there, which is true. She was my inspiration, which led me to do that. But I'm so thankful that I continued so early because it made my transition from perimenopause to menopause smoothly. I really didn't have any symptoms. I don't think I
Yeah.
had a hot flash, um, a little aches and pains maybe for a little bit, but it was very smoothly.
And that's what I want to help women understand is that, like, you know, I say this a lot. Perimenopause and menopause don't create dysfunction, they reveal it, right? So that scenario, that transition is going to reveal a lifetime of habits. And
Right.
if it's a smooth transition, that shows your habits. If it's a poor transition, that shows your habits.
Absolutely.
So what do you think made the biggest difference for you?
Well, first of all, you have to be determined on wanting to do that. If you're not sure, you're going to give up, like a lot of people do. It's not about uh, how much encouraged you are in the mornings. It's about discipline.
Mhm.
Discipline is that whether you feel like it or not, you're going to do it. And at some point, what's going to happen is your body's going to crave it. You don't
Yeah.
have to push yourself for that. That's where I am, and I have been there for years. I don't have to push myself to want to go to the gym. I don't have to push myself to skip ice cream or whatever. I don't want it because I train my taste bud to want those healthy food. And a lot of people said, "Oh, aren't you missing out on something?" I'm not missing out on anything. I don't want it. I don't crave it. So I only crave healthy foods. And whenever I don't, I can feel it in my body, unfortunately, So I could have ice cream here and there if I choose to, and it's not going to make me sick. But some things do, they make me sick. So I have to be careful. But if you're consistent initially for the first 6 months, I would say you're home free. And especially when you start seeing the transformation, which it doesn't happen overnight, but you see little increments of it on a weekly basis. And once you look in the mirror and you say, oh, I see some definition here. Oh, look how much stronger I'm getting. Oh my God, I can lift whatever pounds. You're unstoppable. You can't go back to whatever you were doing before. So if you stick around, you will get there. Anybody could do it. If I could do it, anybody could do it. Because I had the worst diet, I had the worst discipline. I was partying in the 80s, for God's sakes. I was a model that was partying all the time. But yeah, like until 1988, I said I want to make a change. And I was committed to it. And here we are.
Yeah, it definitely shows. I mean, it shows that you have made an effort for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have been consistent all these years. I mean, like when I go on vacation, I don't train because there is no need. That's my time off. But in the beginning, when I started training, I did do that. But my meals has always been good, no matter where I am. I could go to a party, I could go to a wedding. There is always something you can't eat. You don't have to eat what everybody is eating. Everybody's offering pizza, and you don't have to eat it. You know, I tell my clients, if you go to a party, find out what they're serving. If it's something that you cannot eat at all, just eat at home and enjoy the rest, and you never miss it.
One thing I've noticed is like it's not so much that you want to be restricted the rest of your life,
No.
but you want to build a system that can handle the deviations.
Well, the thing is, like when you have a deviation, like let's say you decide when you want to have something that you normally don't have. If you
Mhm.
have, if you're going out with friends tonight and a friend tell you, oh, it's okay, one meal is not going to kill you, but then the next friend 2 days later is going to tell you the same thing. So you're never going to get there.
Right,
So
right.
you have to decide. It's not that you have to be strict, because as I mentioned before, once you get into the habit of eating healthy meals, you don't crave anything else. But the average person eat a lot of shit. You know that.
Oh, for sure.
So you decide once a week to eat whatever you want. So I could go out 5 nights a week with friends and my boyfriend or whatever. I decide when I want to have that meal that I shouldn't have. Nobody can push me to it. Oh, today is good. Or have a drink. No, I don't do it. I decide when and what. So I,
Yeah, and I've also noticed that as I've gotten healthier, my desire for crappy food isn't, it's just not there.
it's not there. Yeah. My
It's
boyfriend
weird.
and I,
Even if I give myself permission to indulge, I'm like,
it
this
doesn't
doesn't taste
matter. Yeah.
good.
I my boyfriend and I went to Belize last week. And when you travel in the airport, it's just forget it. And the flight was 4.5 hours. And from there, from Belize, we have to take another plane for another 20 minutes. So it was a very long day.
Hmm.
In the plane, I had croissant with turkey and cheese, which I don't have that. I don't have a lot. I mean, once in a while I allow a little bit of cheese, but and I have bars, protein bars, which is the worst thing you can have. I was stuffing myself because I was so hungry. It didn't kill my progress at all, at all. I'm back to normal the next day, but I was so bloated.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
felt like I gained 20 pounds. I didn't, but it didn't feel good. So I
Well,
just,
it didn't help that you were in flight. That doesn't help either.
yes, yes. So if you do go through a transition like to an issue like that, it's not going to kill you, obviously, but you don't want to do the same thing the next day. And continue with that pattern for a while. Then you regress,
Yeah.
especially for the beginners.
Yeah, it's hard in the beginning. It really is.
Oh, in the beginning, it's really hard because your body is craving what you normally have. whatever you were doing before, whatever that was. I have clients sometimes that within the first 2 weeks, they call me and tell me how depressed they are, that the food is making them depressed. It's not that the food is making them depressed. They're depressed because they're missing what they were having before. And the metabolism and the body's not catching up with it yet. So that will pass. I never tell anyone to go 100% into a diet program that I give them. That's ridiculous. But to introduce it slowly for the first and second week, and then from there, it's more normalized. But your body's in shock because if you're eating, even if you're eating fairly healthy, which fairly healthy means a lot of salads for women,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a yogurt here and a piece of food there, it's healthy, but it's not going to help you build muscle and get strong, right? So here I am. I keep them like some brown rice and some sweet potato, and they're like, "Oh my God, all this food. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to get fat." No, you're not. You're going to lose body fat. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
So
and of course, I've noticed that people who are already overweight and then they make any change you make when you're really heavy, it's like all of a sudden the body's like, yeah. Like, when you're really lean already, it's harder. Like I've never been heavy. So for me, the changes
yeah,
have been really slow, even though I'm
yes,
super consistent. It's like, and like I have naturally large breasts. And so finally, like I'm like, oh, look, like when like from behind, that line's not on my back anymore because it's my boobs aren't weighing down my tissue anymore. Like it's finally shifting.
lifting. Yeah,
2
yeah.
years to get there, but yay, finally.
But once you see it, you are inspired to
Mm,
keep going because you're seeing some progress.
yeah, absolutely. So what is a typical protocol that you would put a client on?
Well, I'm primarily online now, so I give them a nutrition plan for 5 meals a day, 2 snacks, and 3 full meals. I prefer to that. Some coaches don't believe in multi-feedings, that you could have 3 meals a day. But I noticed when my clients skip meals or have too much food, because if you want to get 150 grams, for instance, of protein per day, you're not going to have that in 2 meals. You're stuffing yourself. So it's more productive. It works better in your body when you separate those meals, right? So I prefer that they go have a meal every 4 hours or so. It's not written on stones, but don't wait 7 hours. Don't have breakfast and then wait and have dinner.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. And if it happens once or twice, it's no big deal, but it becomes a habit. Once people fall into that, it becomes a habit. Oh, I didn't eat today. You know what? I'm not hungry anymore. Why? Because you were skipping meals. The less you eat, the less you want to eat. It's just the way it is. And the more you eat, the more you want to eat.
Hmm.
So your metabolism just expands with that. I also give them a workout plan for a month for first of all, it depends on how the client wants to look. If they want to have beautiful shoulders, beautiful back, great legs, and butt, I separate the body parts, not one body part per day, obviously. But I don't do like a whole body because you'll never get that body with a whole body workout. You will never get it. You're going to get stronger. You're going to look better, but you're never going to get like great shoulders, great biceps and triceps, and beautiful back and glutes if you do full body works out for 3 days a week.
Right.
So if they want a complete transformation, I give them, if their legs need more work, because I customize it. If their legs need more work, I give them 2 legs workout per week. If their back needs more work, it's 2 back workouts per week, and so forth. It's not cookie cutter. Depending on when they send me the picture, I customize according to what they need. And we take it from there. And every month I give them a new program because your body's changing. Maybe another body part needs more work than the other one. Typically it's legs. We all need more work on the legs because it's a bigger muscle and it takes a lot more work. But that's pretty much what I do. So I also we get a Zoom call with each client every 2 weeks to, strategize what's going on, if they have any questions, if they want to change anything, how the progress is going, pretty much. Although they can text me or email any given day whenever they want. But once we get on a call, it becomes more specific what they want to discuss. So that's pretty much how I do my program. I ask them to do at least 4 months because it doesn't happen overnight, first of all. And your habits are not going to change within a week or two or a month. Some people say, can I just do a month? I say, you're wasting your money because it's going to take you 2 or 3 weeks to get on board with this, to get rid of all your old habits. And then you're going to start seeing changes. You're not going to do all that in a month. So, and they start seeing results right away. Usually they stay longer than that, but some people, they think they can do it in shorter time. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that
Oh,
way.
no. Transformation, it takes so long. Oh, I mean, I don't know how many hip thrusts I've done. And like, because I had a yoga butt, I'm like, it's bigger.
Oh,
Like,
that's right.
it's bigger, I promise, but it's not big. Like, it's so much work to just build it up. I have a strong upper body. Like, I've got strong, I
Me
mean,
too.
those are me behind there.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Oh, that's
I,
from yoga. Yeah.
yeah, the yoga pole and the aerial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's great.
I have a strong upper body, but yeah, the lower body, it's like that's where I'm trying
Good
to
hard.
balance it now.
Yeah. I mean, at one point I used to do 3 days a week for legs because I normally I have skinny legs. I was very thin. I told you I was 110 pounds when I started. So my legs have been thinner than my upper body. So I don't do 3 days anymore because it takes me longer to recover since I'm 69 now, but I do two. And I work them really hard for 2 days. And my arms, I could take off for a whole year and my arms will be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just the first thing that got in shape in my body. My back also the same thing, you know, but I enjoy every part of it though. I go to the gym. I don't enjoy cardio, I have to say, but I
I
know
don't
it's
do cardio
necessary.
either.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. But I know sometimes I just walk, if the weather is good. I try to get 12,000 steps, because that's a form of cardio and it helps you burn body fat. But to be on a treadmill, sometimes I do it, but I don't enjoy that.
Yeah, my gym has a track and I like the track. I don't like to be on treadmills.
You run?
No, I walk, but I
Oh, you
used to
walk. Oh, a
run.
track around.
Yeah, I
Okay.
used to run, but these days I just walk after my workouts. I was doing a lot of progressive overload and then I switched it up to doing more endurance style because of my acrobatic background, like I can pull weight. And so I was overcompensating with everything. And so I was like, I need to figure out a way to isolate the muscles better.
Right.
So then I started endurance training. I dropped the weight a little bit, and now I just do 2 sets to failure, and it's so much harder for me now.
Yeah.
So now I just walk like an old lady. I'm so tired.
Well, weight
Just put
training is
my
very
nervous system
taxing.
back down because it's intense. Like you do like all of that, and then you're just like, okay, let me just relax now and walk
Sometimes you can
around.
even go down the stairs. It's hard to,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I feel great with every workout that I have. I mean, some periods, because I've been working out for 37 years, some periods are more intense than others. I hurt my shoulder a couple of months ago and I'm still recovering for it. So I don't know. I'm a little more careful these days, but I still work hard for legs and back and, I always do.
So you said that you started HRT at 45, correct?
Yeah, around 44, 45. And the reason being is because I was getting a lot of joint pain
Mm.
and I don't think I was getting any hot flashes, but I'm getting some weird symptoms. And a friend of mine said to me, why don't you come and see this nurse practitioner? She wasn't even a doctor, but she specialized on prescribing HRT, bioidentical hormone therapy, by the way, which is natural. And I like the one that is compounded in the pharmacy, not from the pharmaceutical. It's totally different.
Okay.
So I went to see her. Oh my God, my whole life changed. I felt so much better, so much better. All my hormones, I was lucky that I found the right person because it's very difficult to find a good doctor to give you, to prescribe HRT and to give you the right dose. Very difficult. A lot of clients come to me and they only got estrogen or they only got progesterone, like 300 milligrams of progesterone. I'm like,
Wow,
that's
that's a lot.
and without a blood work. It's like insane what's going on. So I was lucky. And I feel great. All my hormones were leveled. Um, and I've been on it since 2004. No, 2004, 2003. I don't know, somewhere around there. It's been a while, but I love it. I will never stop. I don't use the patch. The patch is not compounded. That's from the pharmaceutical company. When it's compounded, that means they mix it in the pharmacy, and it's a cream which I put on my arm. And that's it.
And you do progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone?
Yes, I do. The estrogen, testosterone is a cream, and the progesterone is a capsule that I take at night, which
Okay.
helps me sleep. So,
Okay.
yeah, and it works great. If you get the right dose, it's great. Again, some people don't get any symptoms at all. But if a client wants to go on board with that, I give them all the information they need to go on bioidentical hormone therapy. If they're afraid, some people are afraid because they're going to get cancer, which is not true. That's been debunked for many years. Um, it could make you feel better. Your quality of life could be better, especially your sex life will improve
Yeah.
because if your testosterone levels are very low, you have no desire for intimacy, and that's going to affect your relationship or how you feel within yourself too, because you feel better if you desire intimacy.
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
that's definitely a big deal with that.
I've always had a really strong sex drive.
Good for you. How old are you?
43.
Oh, you're still young though.
Yeah, I know. Like even today, current day, like I wake up and I'm just like, Jesus, like really? Like I wake up ready to go all the time.
That's good. Mine around 60, I think 50, I was good still, even though I was on HRT, but around 60 was like dwindling, like it wasn't,
Mhm.
nothing was happening. So my testosterone had to be increased a little bit.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine with each year you might have to get retested for dosages or
I go every year. Yes, every year. Initially, you have to go twice a year, but because I've been on it for so long, I don't need to do that anymore. I go once a year. And it's pretty much the same. It hasn't changed for the past 10 years or longer. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, I mean I'm not there yet, but like I will entertain that when the time comes because I mean not even just mood and
Mental fog sometimes.
yeah, lubrication, but like the heart, like estrogen really
Yes,
protects so many functions in the body. And
yes, yes, it does. Yes.
so, you
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of women who go through menopause and they're fine. They don't have anything, but I don't know. Like for me, if I'm like, if I have to be in this body, I want to look and feel my best.
Absolutely. And I suspect those women who don't have any symptoms, I think they do. You have to. You have to feel something different, but I think they got used to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not detrimental also. It's not debilitating. But I think they got used to it, so they feel, no, I'm fine. But they don't know that if they were to get a healthy dose of HRT, they will feel so much better.
It's crazy how much we're gaslit into what's normal. And it's like,
Yes, yes,
I mean, you're like, yeah, I'm fine, but really you're failing. You're just
yes,
exhausted. But you
yes.
tell yourself it's okay. Like I actually recently, because I have a natural doctor I've gone to my whole life. And so whenever I'd go into a deficit, my whole system would kind of like shut down. I'd get exhausted. And I'm like, why is this happening? And it never happened before until I started lifting. And he
Mm,
said, well, two things. First of all, he goes, your body is going to fight harder to maintain that fat now that you're leaner. It's
yes,
just part of
it's
it. But
true.
secondly, your body doesn't like deficits. It sees it as like a threat. And so you don't have metabolic resistance, but what's happening is cortisol is dominating.
Yes.
So he's like, you need to start taking chromium picolinate so that
Mhm.
the insulin receptors can continue to do their job.
Right.
Oh my God. And I was like, all of a sudden, I went from being fatigued to just like having the energy of a toddler, like just from that one thing. And I was like, wow, how many people like don't even
Don't
know
even know that. Yeah.
the difference?
Yeah. Another thing is like when you are getting older, like in menopause or perimenopause, your fat has to be increased, your healthy fat.
Yeah.
because that protects your hormones. And a lot of women, again, they cut all the fat because
Yeah.
they're living like from the 1980s when they were told not to eat fat or not to eat carbs. And that's really hurtful for your body when you do that. So you have to increase, maybe you might have to decrease your carbs a little bit, but you have to increase your healthy fats.
Well, I hear a lot of male fitness trainers and influencers saying, fat is the least important. And I'm like, yeah, because you're a man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because you're a man, but like you're speaking to women and that's not true.
Not the
Like,
same.
like carbs should not be dominating and protein. If you're a woman, you need to make sure that you're getting that fat.
Yes, you do. I
And
mean,
that's the other thing. Like when because my doctor said, because I was like, what about my macros? He goes, you could do double the fat. Your body would be thrilled. I was like, okay, no problem.
yeah, because a lot of people don't consider adding fat, healthy fats into their diet. I mean, especially if you have a healthy nutrition plan, without processed foods. If you don't add healthy fats, where are you going to get it from? If you don't eat fried foods or with a lot of oils, you have to add it in somehow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and, and,
absolutely.
and there's so many yummy healthy fats that you can have.
And you had mentioned, and I'm in agreement with you, like on GLP-1s, and obviously that's a big praise right now
Mhm.
for weight loss, and it's like if you were to just lift, you could even take like berberine. Berberine is like a natural GLP-1. It really helps regulate blood sugar. But like, what is your opinion on using it, not using it, and why?
Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. A lot of women, I'm going to use women as an example, who are obese. They want to lose weight fast. I get it. I want to build muscle fast too. We all want to fast. And they're also having a difficult time fitting into a healthy diet. I'm not saying everybody does, but in majority of cases, that's what it happens. So they take the injection and they lose a lot of weight. With that, they lose a lot of muscle because what it does is cut your appetite.
Mhm.
Whoever says that you're going to have a healthy lifestyle without food, you can't live without food. It's just impossible. It's going to affect your skin. It's going to affect your hair. It's going to affect everything if you do that. Now, we don't know the ramifications of that drug. We want to find out maybe 10 years from now because you see a lot of symptoms, side effects from it, like diarrhea, vomiting, losing hair, but not everybody, obviously. But the reason why I don't like it is because you're not feeding your body with healthy food. That's out of the window. And you're not building muscle. A lot of doctors say, well, you can take the injection and still eat more protein and lift weights. But if they could do that now, they could have done that before, you
Mhm.
know? And again, they don't have the appetite to eat more food. It cuts your appetite. Some people have been successful, and I don't see that they have a lot of saggy skin, but the majority of people, I don't know what percentage. If I tell you, I'll be lying because I don't know. I think it's your body needs more the protein, the carbs, and the fats. That's what it needs. Not the drugs to help you stop eating to lose weight. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to be healthy that way, you know? Now, is it going to take long? By the way, you might want to take, if you're so obese that you want to take the injection for a short period and then do the work later, that's okay. But if you're going to depend just on that until you lose a ton of weight, where are you going to go from there? Where do you go
Well,
from there?
yeah, because you're not training your body to be metabolically flexible.
No, you're not. Your metabolism is shut down for sure because you're not moving enough and you're not eating enough. Food is fuel. So you don't have enough fuel in your body to burn anything.
Yeah.
You're just losing weight in the scale, right?
Well, there's a
Muscle,
lot of side effects are coming out, it changing the motility of the gastric, um,
yes.
that
Yeah,
gets
because I think it
paralyzed.
slows the process of digesting, I believe,
Hmm.
And but again, they don't eat a lot of food. Um, they call you appetite, and I think it slows down. And they have issues with the digestive system, I believe. I hear so many different side effects every day. And I think any drug that you take for anything is going to be, it's going to have consequences later on.
Yeah, I know when I got into lifting, because like I said, I practiced Ashtanga yoga, which was ridiculously flexible. I'm still ridiculously
That's
flexible.
great.
So I ate in a way that was anti-inflammatory. Like I
Right.
wanted to make sure I had mobility, right? And so
Yeah.
I ate kind of a keto diet on and off for a long time just to keep the sugars low, inflammation low, all of that. And that was kind of like my baseline. And then I get into lifting and I'm trying to lift without carbs, without substantial carbs, and I tanked my adrenals hard. And it didn't make sense to me at the
What
time.
kind of carbs were you getting? Like
Oh,
complex carbs?
I don't remember. I was living in Florida at the time. I just remember I wasn't getting enough. Like I
Okay.
was probably eating like 80 a day, which isn't low, but it wasn't high either.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And my doctor was like, yeah, you need more carbs. And it just
Yeah.
like, what? And
Yeah.
it took a while to finally understand the mechanism of muscle and how, yeah, if you're going to train your muscle like that, you better be prepared to feed them.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't get that, but like,
Yeah.
because carbs have such a stigma, but it's
I
like,
know.
okay, if you're sedentary, yeah, they should have a stigma. But if you're not sedentary, then you better be eating them.
Well, you should have the minimum of protein, for instance, it should be 1 pound, 1 gram per pound, or 1.2, depending if you're sedentary. Now, the carbs, depending on how active you are, goes up and down.
Mhm.
The more active you are, the more I could have a shitload of carbs sometimes. But if I'm less active, I have to eat less. Or sometimes I cycle my carbs, meaning I may not have very little carbs in 2 days, and then I load up the third day. But going no carbs is not going to work. I did that once when I was working out already, but I was still modeling, and I had a photo shoot. I think this was somewhere in the 90s. And again, maybe late 80s, no, in the 90s. Again, I was like thinking the old-fashioned way that I shouldn't eat too much carbs. And I was eating a lot of protein and hardly any carbs. And I went for the photo shoot. I looked like a skeleton.
Mm,
I was so flat because that's what happens when and I had no energy, by the way. That's what happens when you don't eat carbs. You need energy and you need to fill up those muscles too. If you don't fill up those muscles, you're going to look flat. I looked so skinny, it was scary. And I had not gained the weight at that point. But yeah, I learned my lesson there. I don't do that anymore. I always have carbs.
well, the other thing that I don't think people realize, and I learned this the hard way, so protein stabilizes blood sugar, but carbohydrates stabilize cortisol.
Yes,
And people don't realize that. You're trying to lower your cortisol, but then it's like if you don't get enough carbohydrates in the system, the body has no choice but to run on adrenaline and cortisol.
absolutely.
Healthy.
High
So,
adrenaline and no energy whatsoever. No energy. And you don't look better,
yeah,
so.
yeah, absolutely.
But it happens over and over again. You see women in their 50s and 60s, especially where I live. I live in New York City in the Upper East Side. They don't want to touch carbs. They don't want to touch fat, and they're skinny, but no shape, just skinny.
Exactly.
And
It's
that's not,
interesting, that you say no shape. Like I'm getting to a point now where like,
you know what I mean? It's just like very skinny old lady with no
yeah,
shape,
no,
no
no,
muscle.
I've had body dysmorphia my whole life, and I'm really trying to reconcile like size doesn't mean fat. Because as I
Right,
build out my shoulders and my
right.
back, but the dresses are like tight in the armpit, and my brain is like red flag, but I'm like,
I
it's muscle, calm down.
I think it's a woman thing
Yeah.
because I have it sometimes. At least I had it through all my years of training. The reason why I'm not strong, and I'm strong, the reason why I'm not stronger than I am is because I stopped myself at some point. Like, no, you're gonna get big. And I will go back and say, no, 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 no. You just get out of your head and go back to normal. And then I will do it again like a year later. You're getting too big, and I've been playing that game for decades because I like fashion and I like to look good in clothes. I don't want to be all jacked up,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
with a designer's outfit. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah, yeah.
However, I'm not going to be as jacked up. I'm thinking I'm going to be jacked up when I'm training. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know where women find jeans. I've never had a big bum. It's getting bigger. And I'm like, my jeans aren't fitting. Where do you shop? Because my jeans aren't fitting. You know what I mean? Like I wear 25, 26, depending on the brand. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but the bum isn't big enough and it's uncomfortable. So it's like I just wear these my free people onesies. I'm like, I don't
I
know what
I
to wear
think
anymore.
they also been changing the styles of the jeans. You know what I mean? It's not your body, it's that the style of the jeans have changed. I still wear 24. For years, even after gaining all that weight,
Hmm.
I still wear 24 because I gain muscle, so I'm still lean. But jeans are different than in the 1980s and the 1990s and the 2000s. So my butt is definitely not huge. I'll tell you that. I mean, I work on it and it's bigger than it was, but it's not huge. You know, some women are
Mine is
genetically
rounding out. It's rounding out. Like
like some women are genetically have a bigger butt, like those Brazilian women that you see, like fitness women, they have a huge butt.
yeah, no, I'm a narrow white girl. I'm built more acrobatic, so I have a nice V, strong shoulders, but I'm more narrow. I'm not.
Yeah, I have big shoulders, but no hips, genetically.
And it's interesting, as I've built out muscle, I've noticed that I look better if the butt is back versus out. So
Oh,
like
absolutely, absolutely, it
I
is
was
better.
building out the sides and I was like, this doesn't even look good on
It
me.
doesn't look good.
Like, like
It doesn't.
God bless the women who can pull that off. I'm not one of them, you know?
I mean, unless you have genetically have some curves there, I mean, to other is not good,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we also have seen it.
So
So,
what kind of changes do you see in your clients who are going through the transition? They're starting, their hormones are starting to fluctuate on them and whatever. Like as you implement a program, what do you notice are some of the big shifts that everyone kind of tends to experience?
or they build muscle, which when they come to me, they have no muscle. They're usually a little bit overweight. You have to go from ground up. So one thing I do with my clients, which most coaches don't do, when I give them a workout program, I want them to film themselves doing the work. I don't mean the whole day, but if there is a 3 or 4 sets of one exercise, just film one. All the exercises, send it to me every day. And I critique it and I can tell whether if they're going too light, they're never going too heavy. So I have to push them to go heavier. Otherwise, if I don't do that, they will never make progress because we have a tendency of staying in the same place. Oh, 10 pounds feels good to me. I'm not going to go higher than that. I'm going to hurt myself. So I encourage them to go heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And they start, losing body fat, getting more shape in their legs, on their back, and their arm. They're so happy. But that's because I keep an eye on them every day. I had so many coaches in my life. Nobody ever asked me to do that. But I think it's because I don't work with competitors. These people, you have to hold their hand and show them how to lift. So I make sure every day I check their workouts and critique it, tell them to go heavier. They have a video, but sometimes they still do it wrong. And that helps tremendously. So they gain a lot of muscle mass and they get a lot leaner. Their butt, their arms, their back, everything gets into shape. Not in a month or two, obviously, but every month you could see because I asked them to send me a picture front and back to see where they are. So I make comparisons because sometimes you look at yourself in the mirror and think, I haven't made any progress. Well, you have. It's just to see yourself every day. So I make comparison for other pictures before and they're like blown away. Usually they're blown away. Like, holy shit. So
Yeah, and obviously you break a lot of stigmas around the idea that you can't get in shape at that time of your life, you know?
again, yes, okay. You just have to do the work. If you don't do the work, uh, like I say, if I were to leave it up to them, they would not do it. It's hard work, especially lifting heavy when you don't know exactly what you're doing. It's very hard. It's very difficult to do that. But if you have somebody showing you, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. None.
Yeah, and
Everybody can get in shape.
I think it's important to recognize that like just because your hormones are changing doesn't mean that you're SOL. Like if you get the blood sugars on point, and you get, cortisol to not be so ragged, the body will respond.
Yeah, the only reason why women gain weight is not just because they are on menopause. It's
Hmm.
because they're not as active and they're eating the same things that we were eating before. Nothing has changed. So the body's not going to stay the same. It's going to decline.
Hmm.
So people think it's like, oh, this year I enter menopause, so my body's out to shit. No, if you start working on it and changing your diet, you reverse it. No matter how old you are, doesn't matter. You could be 75. I have two clients who are 182, 181. They've been working with me for 15 years. They look amazing. I'm very strong.
My dad's 81 and he has neuropathy and he's tried everything for it. He's not diabetic. He and his brother, they both have it. But they were also on statins, which I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I blame the statins, but he walks with a cane and I'm like, Dad, we got to stop this. So I drove up to Utah and I was like, I'm going to show you exercises. You're going to do these exercises, 3, 4 times a week now. We're going to strengthen your muscles.
Good.
It doesn't kind of counter some of the neuropathy, but we need to get your balance. We need to get your strength. Like I'm not digging the decline I'm seeing, Dad. And so he's doing it,
You
like,
doing it?
yeah.
How long has he been doing it for?
A few weeks now. Yeah. I
Oh,
just went
that's
up there I just went there last month to get him to started.
good. Remind him to keep doing it because he will get one day like, oh, not today. And then from there on, he will do it again. So
He was
remind him.
going for walks every day, which is good, but I was like, no, we need to protect you. Like you walk with a cane, then neuropathy affects your balance. Heaven forbid you fall. Like I want you to be strong, Dad. So
Absolutely. Many years ago in the early 2000, and an insurance company hired me to do a workout program for senior citizens in homes and sometimes their personal homes. And the reason for that is so they won't get sued when they fall and break a hip because that's what happens with other people. So the premiums will go down, right? It worked like magic. I think it was sent 50,000 senior citizens in New York, and then they sent it to some hospital in London. And it was very, very effective because they were
nice.
doing, yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about heavy weights, but some with bends, some with light weights, but they were active instead of playing bingo, sitting all day, and they were not falling and breaking, bones, which is, that's what happens with older people,
Yeah.
especially after 60. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really proud of him because he's got a strong mind. He's very resilient, very a lot of fortitude, very tough guy, but like his body, and it's like I want you to be strong physically, to be able to drive, to run your
absolutely.
errands, do so I'm really happy that he's doing it. I also have him detoxifying his liver and taking stuff for energy, and he's feeling better.
Good.
He doesn't need to nap anymore.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah.
That's improvement.
You know, I mean, my main demographic is women over 35, but I'm like, here, Dad, I'm sure this will work for you too.
Absolutely. Works for everyone.
So, yeah, it's been good. I'm glad that he's willing. My mom isn't the type to do she
You
doesn't want
wouldn't
to,
do it? Yeah. Some people don't care
but
for
my
it.
dad's totally game, and I think it helps him because it gives him something to do each day too. It's like, okay,
He looks forward to that probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now you were talking about peptides, how you're a big fan of peptides. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. The only reason why I started peptides is because um I forgot how I started, to be honest with you. It was recommended. I used to have an assistant that he was in medical school, and he used to do a lot of research for me. And we find out that Ipamorelli and Mod 129, the combination was good anti-aging. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. And oh my God, my skin changed completely. I have more energy. It dropped my body fat just a little bit, not a lot, but I've been doing peptides, those two for a long, long time. And some of my clients do it as well. I'm not into the GLP, not that kind of peptide, but the one for longevity and to help you look better for your joints, I recommend those highly, especially if you have any of those issues. Because oftentimes to take a supplement over the counter, it doesn't work,
Hmm.
you know. So you need to be more proactive. Like for instance, B12 shots. That works very well when you're on menopause. Gives you a lot of energy and it's natural, you know. Again, if you take a pill, it doesn't do the same thing.
Hmm.
Those are pretty much the ones that I recommend.
Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I work with a natural doctor and I asked him about peptides and he's like, your body doesn't want them yet. You're not there yet.
Maybe it's possible because you're young. Yeah,
But again, I am not opposed to anything that's going to help me feel better
absolutely.
as I get older.
You
Like
you say you're 45?
43.
43. Okay, you're not even in perimenopause yet, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, and he's
Well,
he's a natural doctor. He works a lot with applied kinesiology and muscle testing. And he said, you can push menopause back. That's up to you. Like you take care of your body and you'll slow down the aging progression. Absolutely.
you do. Yeah.
So
Well, you're still young. Just wait until you get into perimenopause, and then you should start then. Don't wait until you get to menopause. I'm not saying that it's too late, but
no.
it slows things down when you start early.
Well, and that's the other thing because, with HPA dysfunction, when your nervous system starts to rattle a lot, unfortunately, I'm getting clients in their late 20s and early 30s who are reporting symptoms of women in their late 40s, which
Wow.
tells you that a lot of it is it's like true perimenopause is like around your late 40s, early 50s. It has nothing to do with like what's happening in your 30s. Very, very rarely are you
Well,
suffering
I
from,
started perimenopause, I think 40.
oh wow.
Perimenopause. Yeah, I was getting some symptoms. I wasn't sure what it was. Then I learned later on it was perimenopause.
Yeah, I was
Not
starting to not feel good. And then when I went to my doctor, he was like, no, it's your adrenal. And we did some corrections and my symptoms went away. So
sometimes a doctor might test a woman for perimenopause and menopause, and they see that the levels are normal.
mhm.
What normal means is that at the range that you are right now is normal for you. The whole objective is to optimize it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not to keep it normal because it's going to be no, even if you get blood tests at 65, it's going to be normal for that age.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't want that. You want to optimize.
No, I mean, normal for a woman in her 40s is to have estrogen dominance. That's normal. Progesterone starts to tank, estrogen starts to dominate, and I'm like, I don't want to be normal.
Exactly. No, no, you want to be above that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, when I was able to reverse the symptoms I was experiencing, it changed radically, and I feel better now at 43 than I did at 25.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
So,
I feel better at 69 than I did in my 40s. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Crazy.
So, if you had advice for women who are listening today, like what are the top three things that you would suggest for a woman who's not feeling her best, wanting to feel better and look better?
Number one is to change your nutrition. All macronutrients. Healthy, whole foods, not processed. Protein, complex carbs. I don't mean pasta. I'm not saying that to ever happen, but in general, and healthy fats and strength training. That's the top thing that I can recommend. Supplements, peptides, HRT, that's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Well, that should be the first thing. Once you change your diet to optimize your body, to whole foods, because we eat a lot of crap, and make sure that is the the amount that you need for your specific goals. It's not like a random number, if that makes any sense, because it depends how active you are and how much you weigh. It depends on the amount of protein that you should be consuming. The carbs should be obviously less, and the healthy fats, you know, with that. It's typically, if you're not overweight, anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 grams calories, depending on, again, how active, but typically that's how much it is. And you break that down and you're consistent, you will absolutely change how you feel without even working out. But if you do add strength training, at the very least, 3 times a week, 1 time a week is not going to do anything for you because you cannot do your whole body unless you stay there for 3 hours. Why would you want to do that? And then come back a week later, it's not going to do anything. So at least 3 times a week.
Yeah. Well, and the female nervous system is designed for safety. And if we're not getting enough nutrition, the body doesn't feel safe.
No. But I think that's the reason why most women feel terrible because they don't eat enough healthy foods. They either go the direction of eating salads and yogurt and fruit, or a lot of things that they shouldn't be eating. It could go both ways. Everybody says, "Oh, I eat healthy." How many calories do you have? Oh, I probably have 1,700. Tell me what you eat. 500.
Mm.
Five. They think they're eating 1,700. It's terrible. It happens all the
No,
time.
I mean, I'm 5'3". I'm 124 pounds, and I like when I'm lifting, my body is like 2,000. Like that's where it wants to be.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
If I'm trying to cut, I am ravishing if I go below 1,600, like ravishing.
You
So
know,
that's kind of my border. I'm usually between 1,650, 1,700. I don't do hard cuts anymore. It's just too much. I just
when I
agree.
want to get leaner, I lower my calories very little. I pretty much cycle my carbs and I have to do more cardio. Yes, definitely. Because then you retain your muscles and you're just burning the fat. But if you lower your calories too much, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Yeah, the body doesn't like it. It starts to fight you.
Yeah. And we have to keep those muscles.
Yeah, we do. It's definitely the fountain of youth to have muscle mass.
100%. 100%.
Well, Michelle, it was a pleasure to have you on today. I'm very impressed with, how you've taken care of yourself over the years. And if anyone wants to find you, where do they find you?
Either Instagram, Forever Fit with Michelle, with a hyphen after each word. Facebook, Michele Smith, Anti-Aging Specialist. I'm on TikTok, Forever Fit, hyphen, Michelle.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so much
it.
for having me. That was great. That was fun.
Absolutely. Till next time.
Okay.